Hello again, everyone. I'm here today with an update on some watercolor related things. So I have received this particular cotton watercolor A5 notebook from Koval. This came from Poland, so I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. And I've been waiting for a really long time for it, so I'm really excited to get it. And then I wanted to show you this, which I have switched from. So I switched my everyday carry, so to speak, watercolor palette. I put all the colors that are in here in this palette just because, for practical reasons. I mean, I am not traveling anytime soon and I haven't been going out as much as I normally do. So I just decided to go ahead and transfer it to this and try out this palette because I'm painting at home pretty much all the time. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to swatch the colors that are in my palette, which you can sort of see here from this little guide up here underneath this plastic insert here. And I'll go through the colors with you. But I'm going to swatch these colors in this new cotton notebook. So whenever I start a notebook, especially if it's with new paper, I like to swatch all of my colors somewhere towards the front so that I can have that as a reference for when I'm painting in the sketchbook. So a little bit about the sketchbook. Again, it's from Koval. They have several different kinds of cotton sketchbooks, and I think they also have some hybrid colors that are not all cotton as well, or hybrid fibers that are not all cotton. This is Saunders Waterford paper, which I have never tried before, but I've heard good things about it. These books are a little pricey, but that's because there are a lot of pages and the paper is really good quality. So from really high quality names. So this has 44, it says 44 plus 2 pages. I'm not sure what the plus 2 mean. Maybe it's the front and back cover. I don't know. I'll have to look when I get in here. And it's 300 GSM, which is pretty thick for a sketchbook. And like I said, it's the Saunders Waterford paper, and this is in an A5. So they also included this little band here, and it's very funny. They seem to be very, very excited about the idea of this rubber band on your notebook. Creative solution for creative people. And then it talks about all different ways you can use your rubber band that's on there. But at the end of the day, it's a rubber band, so use it how you want to use it. But I'm going to go ahead and take that off for now. It is kind of convenient, and it's not just a rubber band. It's like a nice stretchy fabric that I think will hold up pretty well. And they had a couple of different cover designs. This was the one I chose, which is sort of a blue marbly effect here. My original idea was to put this sketchbook in my Chic Sparrow Lewis with the straps so that I could take it out when I'm hiking or whatever and use this as sort of my travel sketchbook. 2 things, so I'm not traveling, so there's that. And then this sketchbook, because of its size, was really just too bulky for that particular notebook. So I decided to just leave that setup as it was. I will put a link below to that video so you can see what it was as of the end of that video, and that is the same way it is today. So this I'm just going to have separately probably. I may end up putting it in another traveler's notebook or a folio or something, because I do have some fairly unused or like 1 or 2 A5 folios in a larger size. So I may do that, but the cover is also super thick, so it's kind of hard to fit in a folio. So yeah, I wonder if they mean front and back here with the numbering. This is a completely blank sheet at the end of the book here. This one has their branding down here. And the book is stitched. Let's see if I can find the middle of a signature here. Yeah, so books are usually made up of several signatures, and that really just means several sheets of paper that are the size of the full width of the book, folded and then sewn together, and then all of those signatures are sewn together. So this is sewn with a cloth or with some sort of thread. Thread is the word I'm looking for. And this is a bright white, I believe is the color. Let's see, does it say what color it is? It doesn't. And this is cold press, so it does have a texture to it. So I'm going to go ahead and test out these watercolors. I'm probably not going to make my swatches all that big, just because I do want it to fit on one page in here. So what I might do is, I was thinking I could go here. Yeah, let's do that. I'm just going to put it on the front page. The only thing that I'm a little bit dubious about is that this might have a little bit different sizing, just because it's been glued to this end paper. But I think it'll work for our purposes. And that way I'm not using one of the full sheets over here to swatch. So off to the side, I have a glass of water to wet my brush. And then I have a little paper towel to dab off my brush. I'm using this brush, which I believe is from Jerry's Artorama, and is a Kolinsky brush. But again, I think they're called Rhapsody brushes, but all of the branding has rubbed off, so it's kind of hard for me to tell. Okay, so that's the brush I'm going to be using today. And from the last time I showed my Everyday Carry palette, I have added a few colors. So the last time I told you all about this, I had replaced a few Daniel Smith colors because Daniel Smith was not working well with my I had replaced some of my Winsor Newton colors because they were not playing well with my Daniel Smith colors, which is the bulk of my palette. So, and I'll go through all of these, but the colors that I've added, and I actually added an extra couple because there's more room in here. So I added a warm red, which I didn't really have before. Both of my reds were kind of on the cooler side. So I added cadmium red scarlet in Daniel Smith. So that's a warm red. And really, I probably should have swapped these two because this is closer to this in the color range if I'm trying to go, you know, sort of rainbow order, but it's okay. So I put that in there, and then, so these are all really additions. I haven't taken anything away. So, and then I added Schmincke Cobalt Blue Deep that I purchased in a full pan from Jackson's. And it's really super granulating and lovely. Even though it's very similar to the French Ultramarine by Daniel Smith, I feel like it really adds a different character to my palette. So I have a lot of blues. I really like to mix greens with a variety of blues, and I just like painting with blues generally, so I have a lot of those in my palette all the time. And the other addition is Daniel Smith's Van Dyke Brown, which I've been playing with some mixes. Actually, let me grab that sketchbook really quick so I can show you. I have been playing with some mixes with that Van Dyke Brown, and it has been really fun and leading to some really beautiful mixes. I think this page is this side. So I was also trying out some different, a couple of different Viridians compared to Phthalo Green. I actually added a dollop over here of Schmincke Viridian and Daniel Smith Viridian so I could kind of try them out when painting. I just put a little bit because I'm not sure whether I want that to be a permanent change. But let's see. Yeah, so I think all of the ones surrounding those are mixes with Da Vinci, or Van Dyke Brown, sorry. So this is lovely. This was one of my favorite mixes. That's Sleeping Beauty Turquoise by Daniel Smith and Van Dyke Brown, also by Daniel Smith. And so this one wasn't as interesting. It was, I was trying to see how diluted I could get here. That's Van Dyke Brown with cadmium red scarlet. This is Van Dyke Brown with deep scarlet, trying to see the variations there. This was also really interesting, but this is not Van Dyke Brown. This is Phthalo Blue and cadmium red scarlet. Oh yeah, Phthalo Blue. Phthalo Blue green shade is also an addition that I made to this palette. I only had the red shade before. And then this is with blue shade, but also the cadmium red scarlet. I make tons of little notes in my books here. So, okay, here we are back to Van Dyke Brown. So this is Van Dyke Brown and the Cobalt Deep with Schminke, which is also really beautiful. Van Dyke Brown with titanium ochre and a little bit of sap green. Made a really nice green. But this was definitely the star of the show. I really, really liked that. And this was just some other mixes that I was trying out, mostly with my new red. So I really felt like I could get some really nice colors with these new colors that I added. All right, I'm not going to be doing any mixing today. I'm just going to swatch the individual colors, and the main reason for that is to see if how those colors will show up on this paper. So like I said, I'm going to do it on my end paper here. And I won't label them, but I probably will label them later. So this is Buff Titanium by Daniel Smith. That's going to be the lightest there. Buff Titanium is always kind of hard to see in swatches. Yellows don't come off very well either. So this is Lemon Yellow by Schminke. And I have 2 lemon yellows in here, so I'm only going to swatch one of them. And the reason why I have 2 yellows is so that, actually let me zoom in a little bit so you can see these swatches better. So the reason why I have 2 yellows is so that I have one for just either clean yellow or mixing with reds to make oranges, which I don't do very often. And the other, which you can see here is very dirty, is for mixing greens. And I kind of keep it dirty, like I don't bother cleaning it, and then I kind of like the additional qualities just having some dirty yellow has when, and I could even just draw from there to get a really yellow green. But I was having trouble keeping it clean, which is why I just decided to not bother keeping it clean, because then I can just leave it that way. So this is Schminke Quinacridone Gold. So I have my little guide here. And then this is Schminke Titanium Gold Ochre. So I have this one in my palette essentially instead of a yellow ochre, but it has sort of a yellow ochre-y look. And so far this paper is amazing. I'm really happy with it. Okay, so this is Daniel Smith Aussie Red Gold. That was getting a little messy. I'm trying not to put my hand too much on this page, and in fact I think I will put this here so that I can put my hand. I'm just putting a napkin on the page, because skin oils, if they get on the paper, they really the oil on the paper will resist the watercolor, and that's not really something that's desirable. So this is, oh, and this paper is just lovely. Like the colors are super vibrant on it, and it absorbs really well. So this is the Daniel Smith Deep Scarlet, and then this is the one I added recently, which is Daniel Smith Cadmium Red Scarlet. And I've really been happy with that addition. Okay, and this is Daniel Smith Quinacridone Rose, which is pretty much in all of my palettes that that I'm trying to make, not necessarily a themed palette, but a palette that you can use for just about everything. Okay, and then this is Daniel Smith Potter's Pink, which is a little bit harder to re-wet than some colors, so I try to give it a good scrub there. Okay, it actually comes off really well. Okay, and the next one, oh no, I went too far. I went one too far. So the next one here is Daniel Smith Lunar Red Rock, which again is lovely. This paper's a hit. I'm really liking it. Okay, so then we have Whole Bean Burnt Sienna. And I've been really happy with the switch out to this Burnt Sienna from Whole Bean, or Holbein. I had not Daniel Smith. I keep confusing that with Winsor Newton. I had Winsor Newton in here before. It was mixing okay, but it just really wasn't that interesting on the paper. So this one is great. It re-wets super easy, and it really just glides on the paper. I love it. Okay, so I'm a little bit off here. I think I'm just going to go down the middle. So this is Daniel Smith Lunar Red Rock. Or I'm sorry, Lunar Earth, because we had Red Rock earlier. And Lunar Earth is a really beautiful earth color that is super granulating. Okay, so since I am not going to do this other yellow, because I already have a yellow, I'm going to do this Daniel Smith Sap Green. Oh, I'm sorry, I was out of the frame here at the top. And I will give you a close-up of these at the end. So this is Schmincke Phthalo Green, which I mainly use as a mixing color because it's a little too strong and bright on its own. Okay, and this one is Daniel Smith Sleeping Beauty Turquoise, which is a pricey color, but man, it's worth it. It's one of my favorites. Okay. And then this is a Rembrandt Cerulean Blue, which is a really beautiful cerulean. So before I ever used cotton paper, I thought, oh, does it really make that much of a difference? And then seeing the color difference between cotton paper and non-cotton paper is like night and day. You get really, really bright color representations on cotton paper. Okay, so that is Daniel Smith Phthalo Blue Green shade. And then this is Daniel Smith Phthalo Blue Red shade. It's kind of nice, you can see the two together there. And then I have a big thing of Daniel Smith French Ultramarine. And then this next one is the Schmincke Cobalt Blue Deep, which you can see is very similar to the French Ultramarine. I may end up taking this one out. Like I said, I really like the granulating effect of that. Okay, so then this next one is Daniel Smith Indigo. And indigo is a color that I like a lot for darkening other colors. Okay, and then the last one on this row is Schmincke Perylene Violet. It's just such a pretty color. All right, so I still have some room on the top here. I'm actually gonna swatch these two extra little dollops as well, but I'm gonna do these two first. So I'm gonna do the, oh, I need to put a magnet underneath that one. So this one is the Dyke Brown. And again, I am not showing it to you. There you go. And then this one is the Lunar Black. And you can see how that granulation is falling into the paper. So every brand of paper kind of has its own unique texture, and this seems to have sort of a lined texture as opposed to a doppled texture. That seems fine to me. I'll have to see how I feel about it when I sketch more as to whether this is my preference or something more like a different brand. Like, what are the other brands that they have? Let's see, Arches, Fabriano, that sort of thing. So we'll see. Okay, so now I'm going to go into the Viridians. And that's good because we're right next to this. So this is the Schminke Viridian. And I definitely think it comes off as a little more aqua, because this is the Phthalo green, or is this the Phthalo green? This is the Phthalo green. So yeah, it's still a little bit more aqua. And then this next one is the Daniel Smith Viridian. Oh, which you can already see is darker. So I'll have to see how I feel about those. Okay. So there you go. You can see the texture and how it's sort of lined here. And I think the rest of the paper is like that as well. Okay. And one of the things that I've really noticed about working in cotton paper or on cotton paper as opposed to non-cotton paper is that it really absorbs the paint much more than the regular paper does. So it's kind of a different effect. I feel like I use more paint, but the colors are so much more vibrant. So, all right, well, that's the test out of this paper sketchbook and showing you what changes I've had to my everyday palette. I have not used this yet for mixing, and I haven't used it beyond the swatching because I just moved everything in here. So I'll give you an update in the future as to how I feel about the palette itself. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit and let you know. Sometimes with plastic palettes, when you first try to mix on them, you get some beading on your palette. There's a few different ways you can try to remedy that. You can wash it out really thoroughly, and that'll sometimes get rid of the beading because I think it's usually like a residue on the plastic, or you can just use it. Some people have talked about just a very light grit sandpaper, but I've never tried that, and that would probably work, but then you've kind of created a grit on your palette, so I wasn't really prepared to do that. All right, and I think these are pretty much dry already, but I'll leave it open for a little while to dry fully. Okay, so that's it for today. Feel free to subscribe and keep track of future videos. I'd love to see you there. Have a great day, and till next time, thanks, bye.